another episode of the Urban Homesteading Channel, Automotive Edition, with Professor DIY and Elpida. If this is the first time you're visiting with us, I want to extend to you a very warm welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. We appreciate you visiting the channel again. If today is your birthday, I want to wish you a very, very happy birthday. Today I want to discuss something very, very interesting. When we first bought this electric car, I had a lot of expectations, I had a lot of things that I thought would happen, but something really surprised me. And that is that this car actually can teach you to become a better driver. And that was something unexpected, right? Mm-hmm. And I noticed that some years ago I bought a hybrid Honda, a Honda Insight. And Elpida might say I was a little obsessed with getting efficiency out of it, you know. I'm not as bad with this, but I definitely enjoy seeing it. Enjoy seeing the efficiency and the inefficiency. And because this car, and I think the Tesla as well, and all electric cars and most hybrids, will give you some really good indications of performance, right? Mm-hmm. They teach you how to behave better. Unlike a gasoline car, this car immediately gives you feedback if you're using energy or if you're making energy, right?
Right.
And of course, in a gasoline car, you never make energy. The number of items that you get feedback on in a car like this is amazing. Of course, you have the normal things if the car is ready, but if you look at the bottom, you see the range you're going to get on the battery, which is a very, very useful tool. And also, you see other information, of course, the external temperature, what gear your car is in, all the standard things you expect. But what is really, really very interesting to me is when you look in the middle of the car, where you see just under the zero, you see that semicircle. And that semicircle actually gives you all the information you need as far as energy consumption. You see on one side it says e-power, and on the other side it says charge. Of course, in a gasoline charger you won't see the charge part, but you will definitely see power consumption, which is a very, very useful thing. But in the electric car is immediate. As you see here, right there, the car was generating power. There the car is consuming power, and you can see at what rate it consumes it. And when it is in the middle, the car is coasting. The car neither uses or generates powers. This is a great tool that can teach you what different actions, activities on the car rob you of power. But what is interesting about this is realize, for example, how creeping on the highway or on the going towards a light, mm-hmm. a traffic light, how this creeping action robs you of a lot of energy. Even in the worst efficient car, you're not going to see it. Now, when you creep, you're not going to see the needle move, right?
Right.
But on this, you will. You're going to see the range reduction, mm-hmm. because you're using a lot of power to, in essence, go nowhere. So the computer automatically will recalculate that as a range reduction, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one of them. The other thing is how much an acceleration, the difference of energy that an acceleration moves, like a hard acceleration versus a soft acceleration. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And because this is incremental, it shows you exactly how much energy you use. It is a great teacher on improving your driving time. And I notice I've taken the lessons that this car has taught me and even transfer them to my gasoline cars, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Most electric cars have different modes that you can select, right? And the modes come with a benefit and also a penalty. The benefit is better range, mm-hmm. and the penalty is, of course, you cannot do something, you cannot go as fast, or you cannot have air conditioning on, etc. Mrs. DIY prefers to have it in eco mode. I don't. I drive it on comfort mode. And really, I've not seen a big efficiency loss driving as I do. And a lot of experiments, for example, how much the air conditioning robs me of range. It's not a big deal. I'm a creature of comfort. I don't like to be hot at all. This is something I cannot tolerate. But I found out that because of the way this specific car is, I cannot talk about the Tesla or any other car, but having the windows down, unless it's a very hot day, is a very efficient way to cool the car down, right? Mm-hmm. And another thing I didn't notice, which is very noticeable on gasoline cars, is that if you have the window down versus the air conditioning, you do not buy any better performance or any better mileage, right? In other words, above 45 miles per hour, a gasoline car, having the windows down or the air conditioning is equivalent. So you don't save anything by putting the window down. But on this car, primarily because I believe of the high torque of the engine, it doesn't really draw a bit of power. It doesn't reduce my range when I have both windows down going on the highway. It has no impact on my range. Where again, in a gasoline car, you're going to see an increase in consumption, right?
Okay.
Like Elpida's car has a meter that tells you
Yeah.
your current consumption. And if you closely monitor, you're going to see that your consumption is increased when your windows are down. But on this one, this is unofficial. I haven't done a formal study, but unofficially speaking, on this car, I see no difference with windows down and windows up. Overall, this car is making me a better driver, primarily because it makes me more aware of little things that could potentially make a big difference, right? I see a lot of people creeping. You're stopped on a traffic light and everyone starts creeping along, right? This is energy that produces zero result, right? Moving a foot will not get you there faster, it doesn't do anything, but uses a lot of power because you're moving from stopped to a very short distance, and that is the least efficient time for any engine, electric or gasoline, right? Moving that small distance uses a lot of power for absolutely no gain. So I've started to not do that. Like when I stop, I stop. And on this car, it's a lot of fun because it has regenerative braking. So we don't even touch the brakes most of the time. Both Mrs. DIY and I have learned how to do that very efficiently, right? Without braking the car.
Right.
But even when you do have to brake, the fact of moving a little bit, that impatience, if you wish, robs you of a lot of energy. It is a very inefficient way to do it. Or when you accelerate from a traffic light, it is so obvious in this car. You see the energy consumption go haywire, right? It goes really high. And when you go smoothly, it goes very little. And I did do an experiment one day that I drove to work and back very aggressively. And I noticed a very big drop in my range. And the next day I drove much more reasonably, right? It didn't cost me any time. It took me the same amount of time to go to work. So I didn't lose anything, but I gained a lot of energy.
It was just more about your acceleration,
Right.
your braking, and that sort of thing. How aggressive you were
I
doing.
accelerated
those.
very smoothly versus flooring it. Now the fun part on an electric car or a very big gasoline car is you feel it, right?
Right.
Because this has a lot of torque. It's kind of fun to go, right? It's just amazing, but it doesn't really get you there any faster, at least not measurably. It might, get you some milliseconds, but
Right.
really doesn't make any measurable difference. So the unexpected thing, and what I want to talk to you about, is you can actually become a better driver by driving an electric car, and a more efficient driver, I guess. By better is the term is a more efficient driver, right? And if you don't want to buy an electric car, because not everyone does, maybe you can go and rent one or borrow one from a friend, ask them to drive one. It is very interesting. Now, Elpida has driven both my hybrid, and I don't think you've driven this yet.
No, I've not driven this.
But have you noticed that? I mean, you've noticed my behavior changing, I guess, when I drive.
Honestly, I don't think I've been in the car when you've been driving it.
Okay, you always go with Mrs.
Right.
DIY.
Right.
All right, maybe we'll have Elpida drive it one day and give us some feedback on how. In any case, this is our very short episode for today, and we hope you did enjoy this episode. And if you did, we'll appreciate a thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the other button twice. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know if you like this type of video, if you like any other type of video in automotive. From Professor DIY and Elpida, stay safe, friends.